Becoming, noun. Any change involving realization of potentialities as a movement from the lower level of potentialities to the higher level of actuality. When we push beyond the invisible boundaries that we have accepted for ourselves, we come closer to our higher level of actuality, our potential self. We grow when we continually challenge those boundaries, when we push ourselves to greater heights and expand our expectations. We stop growing when we no longer thirst for knowledge and truth. We stop growing when we become complacent, when we accept the status quo, when we avoid doing things that we perceive to be difficult or uncomfortable. We stop growing when we no longer demand more of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually every day. We stop growing when we stop believing there are no limits to what we can accomplish if only we challenged ourselves to reach beyond our comfort zones. We stop growing when we start believing our own excuses. We stop growing when we lack discipline. We stop growing when we rationalize that the demands we place on ourselves are acceptable, knowing in our hearts that we are deceiving ourselves by way of justification. We stop growing when we avoid doing the difficult things, the things we know we should do but do not because we perceive them to be painful, require too much effort, and/or simply because we have become lazy and complacent. We stop growing when we fall prey to the low expectations of others. We stop growing when we become followers instead of leaders. We stop growing when we are no longer introspective. We grow when we accept and acknowledge our own ignorance. We grow when we humble ourselves and acknowledge that God is not a respecter of persons, that He loves all of His children equally, without prejudice or favoritism, and that He expects us to do the same. We grow when we realize that we are not special, but we can become exceptional through our actions and the process of becoming our greater selves. We grow when we are able to embrace truth, regardless of the source of that truth. Contemplate that. We grow when we focus on gratitude and acknowledge those things that we are blessed with and give thanks for those things. Perspective. We grow when we are brave enough to speak truth, regardless of the consequences of doing so. We grow when we dare to challenge ourselves to push beyond our comfort zones, when we are no longer willing to accept that what we are doing is good enough. We grow when we dare ourselves to expand our thinking and our expectations. We grow when we stop rationalizing that even though we know we can do better, we accept complacency and justify our lack of willpower, desire, and fortitude to change our behavior. We grow when we no longer make excuses for ourselves and demand that we take action to effect positive change. We grow when we are willing to challenge ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. We grow when we are humble enough to accept encouragement, guidance, and truths that address areas of our lives where we can achieve growth through change without being defensive or offended. Denial is one of the things that holds us back from becoming our greater selves. We grow when we lose ourselves in service to others. When love for others exceeds our love of self, and realize that this is the source of our greatest happiness. Love, the greatest commandment. We grow when we are willing to accept the pain that is required to achieve growth, whether that pain is perceived or real. We grow when we no longer rely on others to tell us how we should live our lives, when in reality, we already know, but are just too comfortable waiting for others to inspire us. We grow when we dare ourselves to strive to reach our full potential as sons and daughters of God, who has endowed us with limitless potential. We grow when we confront our weaknesses and shortcomings and take bold action to effect positive change in our lives. We grow when we present ourselves with challenges, because growth only comes through pushing ourselves to greater heights. We grow when we seek the guidance of the Holy Spirit and continually pray for inspiration, knowledge, understanding, and guidance in our lives. When we no longer wait to be told or inspired by others, when we awaken to the understanding that truth and light is ours, but for the asking. Every day is a blessing and an opportunity. We have been endowed by God with limitless potential. The only thing holding us back is ourselves.